With the recent release of the Rift Mountaintop update, I kind of wanted to take a little bit to talk about what I personally feel about the update when it comes to its content, the lore aspects, and pretty much everything else, to kind of come up with a little bit of a review. My name's Derailious, and without any further ado, let's get right into this. I think one of the most notable aspects of the release of the Rift Mountaintop update was that we did not receive an alpha alongside the release. What I mean by that is we got to experience the content of the update at a first glance on the main network without having an alpha period. I personally really enjoyed this system of release. Now obviously this wouldn't be something that would be possible for every update, but I think for the original Rift, it kind of took a lot of the oomph out of the update. Basically, we didn't get the experience firsthand when the actual content released. We had seen it twice or 3 times before on the alpha network. Players knew exactly what to do, exactly where to grind, and exactly what items they could get from the update. And it was really cool seeing the community try to figure things out on day 1 for the first time in a few years. We had not gotten an update without an alpha network in a very, very long time, and I've got to say I really enjoyed the experience. I know this is not something that will be possible for many future updates, but maybe when there's something lore related, it could be left out of the alpha network, and maybe it could just release on main whenever that update would drop. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, but it was one of the high points of the update for me. In terms of the plot, I kind of have to break this up into 2 different sections. Everything before you finish the final Wizardman puzzle or challenge, and everything after. Prior to finishing the Wizardman stuff, I think the story is actually pretty good. You're getting to the top of the mountaintop. The Walk of Fame was amazing. I really like the Ubik minigames and his dialogue. I like all of the dialogue as you're trying to get up there. Even the Eleanor quest was pretty fun. But I think after you finish the Wizardman challenges, the dialogue, the plot just kind of falls off a cliff. I really felt like it was anticlimactic that after you finish the challenges, you just kind of become Wizardman immediately, and then you're through to the top of the breach, and then you close the breach immediately, and there's nothing else to do, and then you go out and you're in the main world, and the wizard's talking to you about 3 to 5 more business days. I feel like that was just not the best way to finish the update. We didn't really see what closing the breach actually did for the long term. I imagine we will in future updates, but I was hoping to see more of a lore and story conclusion in the game in the form of a cutscene or something. Maybe I was expecting a little bit too much. I would love to hear your thoughts, but personally I felt like it wasn't the best conclusion in terms of the story. I do have a lot of very positive feedback though when it comes to the gameplay portion of the first half of the Mountaintop. I think Sun Gecko is one of the coolest things that Skyblock has ever done. I love all the customness in terms of setting him up. The different modifiers are great. The Essence Shop is amazing. All of the items you can get from that fight are really cool. I think they did an absolutely amazing job. Everything up until the Eleanor quest is great as well. I love the Timeite system. I feel like you could mine it a little bit faster. That would have been really nice, but regardless, I think getting it is pretty neat. I think the Ubik minigames are amazing. I love Splitter Steel. I love the Monty Hall problem one. And I also love the one where you're trying to guess the number to get the free wills, which by the way, free will is one of the coolest things that they have ever added to the game, and I think once again, they did a great job on that. The actual gameplay here is fine as well. I just feel like maybe for the Eleanor questline, they could have been a little bit less strict on some of the requirements. I think having a legendary pet for all of them is a little bit much, especially considering that the Rift is a lot of stuff that's usually disconnected from the main game. I feel like requiring you to get those items may be a little bit much, but that's my personal opinion, and many players may disagree with me on that. The Walk of Fame, like I said before, was really enjoyable. I love the look back at many of the other things that we've done in the Rift, and I think they did a great job on the gameplay there. The Wizardman minigames are fine as well. I really enjoyed the parkour one and the one where you're brawling with him. However, I just don't like it when Skyblock does these sort of minigames in GUIs, and there are a few of these in the game as a whole. I believe that it just isn't done very well. I think the way that they execute it for Splitter Steel is a lot better than the way they did it for the Connect 4. Just kind of silly in my opinion. I also don't like the terminals in F7 for this reason. I feel like it's just a little annoying for the average player. Personally, I think that there are better ways to do a puzzle of that sort. I think the way they did the Lights Out puzzle for the Shen summoning is way, way better. and definitely a highlight of the update for me was solving those lights out puzzles. I just don't really enjoy, mini games and GUIs, but that's just me. Many people will probably disagree with me on that. In terms of the secondary content, there is quite a lot to go over. I think most notably were the Enigma Souls. Most people really liked them. I think all of them were great except for maybe 2 of them. The 2 that I disliked were the pot parkour. I just thought that was way too harsh, way too long, and frankly it respawns incredibly quickly for the average player. If you miss it once, you have to go all the way back to the beginning. I think it kind of sucks. The other one that I think was not too great was the Ubix Averages one. That one is just time-locked by a huge margin, and I just don't love that. Regardless, the rest of them are totally fine, and also make sure to go to the guy at the bottom of the Wizard Tower for a couple more upgrades. You can get some more, I think, mana regen, and also some more speed, so keep that in mind. I think you just speak to Enigma. The rest of them were great, though, and I really enjoyed all of the new puzzles, including the Fleet Spook one. In terms of other stuff, I think the puffs and their cruxes were generally fine. I kind of wish there was a better way to explain that to players, like how to actually kill them. Maybe I was being a little bit dense, but it didn't click for me immediately. I think for other people it did a little bit faster, but regardless, that was more of a day one issue. There's lots of guides and stuff out now, so that is totally fine. Getting the Eleanor set of armor was really cool. I loved the way that was set up. That quest is really fun. Aside from my gripes about it being a little bit too strict, I personally really enjoyed it. In terms of replayable content, there's a lot of Sun Gecko stuff you can do, there's tons of other things you can do throughout the Rift, and there's even new items in the Rift Shens area, which I think is pretty neat. You can also earn motes by doing, split or steal. There's the IQ point stuff, which I thought was really fun. Generally, there's just a lot of content to do throughout the Rift now, and I am very, very excited about it. For the last section here, I kind of wanted to cover rewards, and I do have a few problems with some of them. Most notably, I think getting the Rift Necklace to 8 out of 8 Time Charms isn't too bad, but I've got to say it really does suck that the item is not mythic as a base rarity. It just doesn't really make sense to me. You should be able to turn it into a divine item. I just don't really get it. The Celestial Time Charm was also extremely trivial to obtain. I felt like it was a little bit anticlimactic. Maybe that was part of the point, but regardless, that was not too amazing in my opinion. Lastly, there are some of the other items you can take outside of the Rift, which I feel like are fine. The Memento was also pretty nice at the end, but once again, it didn't really have an addition timer on it, so you couldn't really see which, place you got in terms of getting out of the Rift. I feel like that could have been added. It would have been super cool. Regardless, I am a little bit disappointed with some of the rewards, at least for the mainline content. Despite much of the criticism that I've levied here, I really did enjoy the Mountaintop on first playthrough, especially the stuff with Sun Gecko I thought was set up super, super well. If I had to give it a rating from like 1 to 10, I'd probably give it an 8, maybe an 8.5. I feel like the issues with the update are really related to the lore aspects and maybe some of the rewards, while pretty much everything else is super solid, excellent quality, and pretty much everything we expect from a good Skyblock update. I thought that things were generally pretty good and pretty solid. I think in terms of bugs, I was really expecting there to be more without a, alpha network server session, but there really wasn't that many, and many of the bugs that did exist were not super major. I love the quest line, I love getting there, I just felt like that ending could have been a little bit better, but it's something they could always go back and improve upon if they want to. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. Did you like the Rift Mountaintop? Did you hate it? Personally, I thought it was great once again, so I would love to hear what you guys had to say. And yeah, that's really about all I have to say about it. Great update. Looking forward to the foraging update. If they can keep it around the same quality or better, just with a longer playtime associated with it, I think players will be very, very happy. At the end of the day though, my name's Derailious. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future, fellas, because I will see you then.